Hello, and welcome to the first installment of Let's Talk About Pathfinder First Edition. This video is subtitled, Why Play Pathfinder 1.0? My name is Brother Patrick, and I am starting this series for a number of reasons. First and foremost, I have been privy to the absolute mess that the open game license drama has been for the past year or so, and I've seen thousands of people from all corners of the hobby jump ship to Pathfinder 2nd Edition. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there are tons of people all over the internet discussing it. I'm sure if you googled open game license controversy, you will find plenty of information. But I wanted to throw Pathfinder 1.0 into the running as the game to be jumped ship to. Secondly, and perhaps more importantly, I love First Edition Pathfinder. I have admittedly not played Second Edition Pathfinder, but I have played both 5th Edition Dungeons & Dragons and quite a bit of First Edition Pathfinder among dozens of other games, and I consider myself an expert on Pathfinder First Edition. It is my favorite game in the world. It is perhaps my favorite way to spend time, period, and I want to put my heart and soul into it, so this is my YouTube series. Episode 1. Why play Pathfinder First Edition, and how do you play Pathfinder First Edition? Now, I don't want to lambaste Dungeons & Dragons or 2nd Edition Pathfinder. Both of them are great games to play. They are fun, they are exciting, they are great times with friends. This is not a video on why 1st Edition Pathfinder is better than any other game. If you are watching this video, chances are you've already made up your mind not to play D&D 5e, which means you're looking for something new to try. Or you heard about the controversy secondhand, and are now looking to break into the hobby for the first time. Whatever reason you choose, I'm going to spend a bit of time making the argument that you should pick up 1st Edition Pathfinder over D&D 5e or Pathfinder 2nd Edition, or any other game on the market for that matter. Before I get into that, I need to go into a little bit about my own background so that you know that I know what I'm talking about. In my real life, out in meat space, I am an industry professional. I've been writing content for my own playgroups for about 10 years now. I've been dungeon mastering both 5e D&D and Pathfinder 1.0 for over a decade. I also spent 4 years owning and running a brick-and-mortar tabletop store. I have perhaps made more Pathfinder characters than any other person alive. As of this video recording, my hard drive has about 18,000 character sheets on it, ranging from levels 1 to 20, of every race, class, and build you can imagine. And no, that number is not an exaggeration. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm not the expert, but I am an expert. I love this game. I put all of my energy into it. All that aside, let's talk about what our agenda is for today. Why choose Pathfinder First Edition for your game? My argument boils down to choice. Choice is the thing that separates Pathfinder First Edition from any other game on the market. And I mean that in a number of different ways. The obvious one is character creation, which is where Pathfinder 1.0 really shines, even above 2.0 Pathfinder. First Edition Pathfinder has hundreds and hundreds and thousands of character options. There are more than 3,000 spells to choose from, some 1,000 and change feats to choose from, hundreds and hundreds of official archetypes and prestige classes and races, and that's just the stuff published by Paizo. There are also dozens of third-party publishers who have had and continue to publish content for the system. You could spend months reading every page of published content and never run out. I am speaking from experience when I say this. In a game like 5th Edition Dungeons & Dragons, there simply isn't enough published content to be able to simulate every choice you might want to make. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I'll be the first to admit that the number of choices you can make in Pathfinder is overwhelming, especially for new players. More on that in the next episode. But even 2nd Edition Pathfinder simply does not have the longevity yet to pull off the things Pathfinder First Edition can do. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Do you want to play Batman? I can make that happen. Not fantasy Batman, or a representation of Batman, or a character that functions like Batman but still uses a sword and casts spells because this is that kind of game. I mean actual Batman, all of it. The secret identity, the mild-mannered alter ego, the world's greatest detective, the utility belt full of tricks, everything. You would want to be a vigilante first and foremost. You might want to take the always prepared social talent so that you get your bat shark repellent. You'll most certainly want the renowned social talent so everybody knows and is afraid of you, and so on and so forth. All of that and more can be done in system with no reflavoring, no homebrewing, nothing. Game as presented. But there's something else to choice that goes beyond just character creation that makes Pathfinder 1.0 so unique, and that is the rules presented in the game. If a character in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons wants to break down a door, there are so many ways to do so. How many hit points does the door have? What's its break DC? Should it be a strength check or an attack roll? Does it have any resistances to certain types of damage? Well, in Pathfinder, there are rules to all of those questions baked into the system. How does running water affect combat? What about heavy rain? What about intense heat? Having the high ground? What if an enemy tries to flee and you want to give chase? Well, there's rules for chase scenes. Let's say he stops and tries to parley. Guess what? There's rules for parley and social combat. He challenges you to a duel. Break out the dueling rules. There's enough content in the Pathfinder rulebooks that anything you want to do can be done. You don't need to be the world's best dungeon master. You don't need to be the world's cleverest player. It is all laid out for you. The world is your oyster. Now, I mentioned that earlier in Pathfinder 1.0 is admittedly a very dense and content-heavy game, and there are indeed a lot of choices that are suboptimal. They are usually called crap choices by the community, and in a lot of cases I do disagree with this sentiment, because I think that situational bonuses can come in handy over universal bonuses some of the time, and they make for interesting flavor. But it's true, there's a ton of content to sift through, and not all of it is good. But that's where I come in. For the next few months, I'm going to teach you, viewer on the internet, how to play Pathfinder First Edition, how to get started, how to build a character, and how to run a game as a master. And then after that, how to become an expert on each and every class one at a time. And if I do my job right, when you are finished watching these videos, you will have no trouble with choice paralysis or system mastery because you will be the master of the system. But that has to wait for another video. That is the end of the first episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, do not bother with like and subscribe. Support the Archives of Nethys on Patreon. Those guys are my heroes. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach me in the comments below or at brother-patrick on Reddit. Thank you for watching, and be well.